fellow cabinet ministers, members of the commission, everybody present here. I always regard this transition as moving from the known to the unknown. If we don't know what we know, well, every route is the right route. There is no debate about moving from high carbon emissions to low carbon emissions. There's no debate about that. If we spend time discussing that, we're wasting our time. We all agree there's a necessity urgently to move from high carbon emissions to low carbon emissions. Now, what we know is that in South Africa, we're running a fleet of 16 coal energy generating power stations, 16 of them throughout the country. Leave Sasol, leave everybody else who add on to that. But renewables at this point in time are providing us with about 6 to 7% of energy. So there's a disconnect between this stream of coal to renewables immediately and the reality that confronts us. Big disconnect. And I think this commission is intended to help us navigate this journey carefully. Let me start from where I think we should start from. For example, our economic reconstruction and recovery plan calls on all of us to build new economy and unleash South Africa's true potential. And the goal of the plan is to create sustainable, resilient, and inclusive economy. The plan clearly focuses our attention on priority areas, including energy security. Now, I'm emphasizing the question of energy security because sometimes you hear big pressure on ESCOM to say, close your coal power stations. And ESCOM get pressure to make announcements that, for example, by year X, I will close 8 of the 16, okay. But in that plan, what is missing is how do you replace that energy capacity? Because if we don't talk about that, we may actually drift into darkness under the cloak of cleaning the energy. But we need both. We need energy security, we need cleaner energy. Now, and therefore our attention on priority areas include that energy security, reinvigorated industrial base to create job, more public employment, and infrastructure development, macroeconomic interventions, among others. I think Minister Patel has gone into details to that. We believe that a strong recovery is possible through determined actions that restore economic growth and protect livelihoods. Through targeted implementation, we are called upon to act in a manner that contributes to economic stabilization, to stimulate growth, build confidence, and enhance competitiveness. Jobs and growth, industrialized standards localization, and export sector growth with energy security as a flywheel for growth and development is at the center of this effort. Now, our historic realities and initiatives, such as the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan and the focus must set the context for discussion, such as one we are engaging in today. So, my starting point is that it's good to talk about climate change today. I have no qualms. But don't talk climate change to the exclusion of economic growth and reconstruction. Because only a developed economy which has capacity to fund change will make sure that change happens without hassles. The supply of affordable, accessible, reliable energy remains a key priority for our government, and we strongly believe that a broader energy sector is catalyst to economic growth. We continue to work hard to reducing high costs and unreliable supply of energy by implementing the integrated resource plan approved in 2019. Now, I'm talking about the ARP because many people say this ARP is outdated, it must change. And I always make an argument that is simple, that reflects my age, chairperson. And I said, once you become haphazard in anything, you are sowing seeds for a chaos, okay? Be systematic, be structured, do that. If a plan is updated, it must not be changed in the streets and in the public debate. There must be a process of changing that program and introduce a new one. And everyone will actually plug into the new plan. And if we don't do that, we're going to be haphazard, ad hoc, and will not understand the difference between the wood and forest. Success and failure will look the same. Now, the RP as a guiding instrument directs our approach towards just energy transition and propose increasingly using cleaner forms of energy as we balance the use of fossil fuels. Honor our commitments made in the Paris Agreement and supporting efforts to diversify our electricity generation and strive for national and regional development. I'm making that point because the IRP guides us not to think that you switch off and switch on. It forces us to stick to a mixture of energy technologies. Those technologies, but the bias is shifting towards cleaner technologies in the implementation. I will give you the breakdown of numbers. In line with IRP 2019, we're procuring a total of additional electricity capacity of 13,813 megawatts. That is about 4 power stations currently. Okay, that's what we're working on. This is made up of 11,813 megawatts as per second section of 34 municipality statement issued in February 2020. 11,813 megawatts capacity will consist of, let's look at the numbers. 6,800 megawatts will be from renewable energy sources. That is photovoltaic and wind. 513 megawatts will come from storage. 3,000 will be from gas. Only 1,500 is from coal. And other people came to me and asked, why do you include coal? And I give the answer that is not fashionable. Mr. Chairperson, I say, we must experiment with cleaner coal technology. We must experiment with that. We must research carbon capture and storage and use. We must check all sorts of it because it's a resource at our disposal. The easier thing is to throw it away, but the best thing would be to try and find cleaner technology of using the resource. Now, in addition to that 11,813 megawatts, we are completing the procurement process of 2,000 megawatts under Risk Mitigation Independent Power Producer Program. The further RFF request for proposal for renewable sources was issued to the market during April 2021, with further bids rounds to follow later in 2021. Now, I'm making this point because I'm sure everybody sees a lot of pressure that you brought car power ships in our shores and so forth, and everybody is protesting that. Now, I always argue to people that, if you are not adventurous, you will not try any idea. You will be clean, you will be nice, you will be loved, but you will not try any idea. And that's why people will protest this cover partnership, we should give it to us. Somebody is taking us to court and say, you should have given that to me. Now, fine. That's, we're in that space. The National Energy Act, the Integrated Energy Plan, the National Energy Efficiency Strategy, the South African Renewable Energy Master Plan, the Gas Master Plan, currently being developed, among others, provide comprehensive energy framework with key objectives and targets on how to transition energy-intensive sectors in South Africa to low carbon power. Now, DMRE manages carbon offset administration system through its designated National Authority Unit and has since launched the program in July 2020, approved and registered 21 projects, and a total of 509 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent coming out of registered projects has been listed in the carbon offset system, and over 2.5 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent has been retired by carbon taxpayers in reducing their tax liability. So the retired carbon offsets represent about 330 million rand saving using a rate of 127 rand per ton equivalent. That can be invested in more clean environmental friendly projects. Now, we will advance our efforts to increase penetration of gas availability, the use of carbon of the economy, further contributing to lower emissions in the sector, including converting existing power plants from diesel to gas. One of the most costly and the most polluting in ESCOM is the use of diesel. And if you change it from diesel to gas, you reduce carbon emissions. We want to see gas discovered in our country, finding its way to the power plants and other petrochemicals. I'm sure, Mr. President, we are aware that the discovery by Total in Lower and Enequa is quite a sizable discovery. And initial gas from shale gas experiment in Fort Beaufort has been taken for tests, whether it is real or it's just air. But it's bottled, sent to the test. We're hoping to get results within a short period of time. And that will start a new sector in the economy. And we must comply with all the requirements to reduce carbon emissions, even in that area. So, one of the areas that we think has been underdeveloped in South Africa is the question of bottled gas. Bottled gas. You see, bottled gas is not used widely in South Africa, an elitist concept. Only elitist families use bottled gas, though in reality it should be used by every household in the country because it's accessible, particularly with the price of electricity going through the roof. We intend to finalize our petroleum resource development bill in order to strike the balance between the need to attract investment into this key sector of the economy and ensure that oil and gas activities do not happen at the expense of environment and water resources. So that bill is going to Parliament now, is going to public comment on it and so forth. But that bill is intending to start a total new sector of the economy. And I hope will succeed. The RP proposes the need to develop just transition plan to ensure that it manages the challenges and risks for socially just transition. This as a country moves to low carbon trajectory in accordance with the national commitment. So I want to talk about only two things. that they just mentioned them. One, carbon capture, storage and use. We're hoping that we'll be able to develop that. We're hard at work in that. Number two is hydrogen economy, where the home of PGM. Our exploration implementation plan, which is a priority for mining sector, is looking at discovering, hello, come. Come. Hello? Hello?
We can hear you, Minister.
Okay, I'm back. The focus of that exploration implementation plan is to look into what is called minerals of the future. Those minerals that will be available, particularly to develop the battery storage sector in the economy. We have a sense of where they are. Many of them in the border of Namibia. Namibia is already mining that other side. We have not started, but 80% of those deposits are on our side. Vanadium is available. So a long list of those minerals of the future is targeted by that plan. However, our initial work in this area points to the myriad of efforts, initiatives done in a fragmented and uncoordinated manner. And as such, they are likely to render the efforts of just transition difficult to manage and quantify. So unless we coordinate our work, unless we work together, we are not going to be able to quantify and manage a just transition. Will therefore, as part of and in support of the work this commission must do, intensify our stakeholder engagement around just energy transition roadmap in the coming months, ultimately culminating into clear, balanced, inclusive implementation plan. I want to conclude by making the point that as we discuss climate change, we must discuss development and economic reconstruction and recovery in the same aggressive way, because it is that growing and sustainable economy that will make our work possible. A growing economy can afford funding changes. A declining economy cannot finance changes. Industrialization and localization must be driven equal aggressive while implementing the electrification program with the bias towards low carbon emission. We must equally invest in clean coal technology. This is a resource at our disposal. That's my argument, and I get punished for that. But I take the punishment. When I was a student, Mr. President, I was called a problem child, and I was not beaten every day. But every day I must be beaten. I had to bend on the desk and get hiding on the backside. So I'm used to being beaten hard for the good of the future. Thank you very much.